You are listening to the Intelligent Vocalist Podcast, episode 177.
Welcome to the Intelligent Vocalist with John Henny. This is the podcast dedicated to help you be a smarter, better, more informed singer. And now, your host for the Intelligent Vocalist, John Henny.
Hey there, this is John Henny. Welcome back to another episode of The Intelligent Vocalist. I do so appreciate you spending this precious listening time with me. Well, the response from my last episode was interesting. It's the first time I ventured into slightly political waters, and naturally that's going to ruffle feathers a little bit. It was mostly very positive comments. I received a few negative responses, specifically people talking about not wanting to get the vaccine when it is available for the coronavirus. And that's something each person has to decide. Again, I am always going to take the road of scientific consensus. And yeah, sometimes science is wrong. Although I don't view it as wrong, it is just they are finding out what's not true. Science and scientific consensus, when it is not polluted by the pressures of politics, is our best way to understand the physical world. Of course, not any dimension beyond that. If you are spiritual or religious, science is not necessarily going to give you the answers there, but there are those that argue science can provide those answers. Science has yet to answer the fundamental question, what is consciousness? I mean, at the very basic root of how we interact with our planet, how we experience it, what is that? So there are certainly areas where science is lacking. But in terms of infectious diseases and how to protect yourself, I am going to go with the science. It does bring up just an interesting aspect of our times. And I heard someone recently say that politics used to be about ideas. And when you are dealing with ideas, you can compromise. And you're not going to be conflicted over compromising an idea. But today, politics has more and more become about values, and it's very hard to compromise our values. It is really a badge of pride to not compromise your values. And when someone is against your values, that person is no longer just disagreeing with you, but they are, in some sense, evil. They're, in the best sense, misguided, but it's becoming more and more, especially with social media and giving platforms and megaphones to the extreme amongst us. It's becoming more and more that the other side is vilified, and I see this even with the coronavirus. In my area, I am in Los Angeles County. I'm about 25 minutes outside of downtown Los Angeles. And it's just interesting. The area I live in is rather conservative, which is a little different for Southern California. And mask wearing here, it's not real common, especially very recently. Whereas I've talked to people who live in more blue areas, and everyone's wearing masks. As a matter of fact, in some of the more intensely liberal sections, you will get your rear end handed to you if you are outside without a mask. And neither extreme, I think, is good. I don't think people need to be browbeaten and screamed at, but I think having respect for each other. And yeah, that's why when I go out, I do wear my mask. And yeah, it's a little bit of virtue signaling, if you will, because I just want people to know that I respect their health and that I don't feel my rights are more important than their health or them feeling safe. I know some of you will disagree, but hopefully we can disagree as an idea rather than vilifying. So, but today I want to focus on more positive things. And as this pandemic, I don't know if it is showing signs of waning in certain areas. Los Angeles County, unfortunately, we're the epicenter of California, and California is a state that's we're not growing at a fast rate, but we're not turning around too quickly, and LA County is getting the worst of it. However, we are starting to reopen slowly, and there is much to be dissatisfied with, and things are not going to be the same for quite a while. And as I outlined in the last podcast, singing in public and singing together is probably going to be off the table for a while. And fixating on that it's discouraging. It really is. And as those of us who are performers, I don't actively perform anymore, but I used to perform a lot. And I made my living performing, and I couldn't imagine just having that instantly, completely taken away and no end in sight. But I've been reading a book called Three Simple Steps by Trevor Blake. And this book has a wonderfully simple, since it's in the title, premise. But it's about controlling our thoughts. Because what we think about and how we process what is going on around us is the biggest difference between people who are able to move forward and even thrive in difficult circumstances such as these, and people who basically curl up in a ball. And I certainly, in the early days of this pandemic, I definitely wanted to curl up in a ball a little bit, and slightly embarrassed to admit that, but I will admit that. I remember when the shutdowns were just first happening, and waking up in the morning and the reality coming flooding back to me, and just thinking, I don't know if I want to get out of bed today. I'm not inspired. I am stressed out. I'm watching my music academy have to suddenly turn on a dime. I could no longer see students in person. I work a lot with other voice teachers, and just hearing the struggles that they were going through and their fears, it took a bit of a wallop. But fixating on that, and of course, I think almost all of us fixated on it at first. It was a shock. But fixating on what was wrong, it just leads my mind down that path, and your thoughts create your actions, which create your future. And by fixating on that, my thoughts were poor, which made my actions poor, which made the foreseeable future not incredibly bright. So the question to ask, because I was asking myself the wrong question, and the wrong question is, what do I not want? What do I dislike about this? What is wrong about this? And I got answers, of course. My brain is always happy to supply answers, whether they're useful answers or not. And so that just took me down the path I didn't want to go down. And so the question that you need to ask yourself that I get from 3 Simple Steps is, what do you want? As a singer, as a performer, as a musician, what do you want? What do you want to be better at? Not beating yourself up. Oh, I've been letting my practice slip during this time. My voice isn't at its best. I'm not able to perform. And certainly performance, as I've talked about before, it sharpens you. And we don't really have that right now. So there are a lot of things to focus on that you don't want, but you need to turn that around. What do you want? I want to increase my knowledge of the voice. Great. There's your start. And once you say, I want to increase my knowledge of the voice, you will start to find your way. You just have to get started. I want to increase my range. Perfect. Get started. Don't overanalyze it. Don't worry, should I try this method or that method? Try any method. Follow any teacher, and you will quickly begin to see if it's working for you or not. But you can't have that answer until you get started. You want to increase your ear? Great. Get started. Find a way. Grab a resource and start devouring it. Get an app. Get an ear training app. Start learning your intervals. Start to be able to try sight singing. Gerald White, who I had on the podcast recently, has a wonderful web-based resource on learning to sight sing. And Gerald is one of the top session singers in Los Angeles. He's an amazing sight reader, and you can learn to do this. It's not incredibly expensive. His website is music1on1.com. Go check out Gerald's resources. You want to learn to sing harmony. There are apps for that. There's a wonderful app. Oh, I don't have my phone in front of me. But look up Singing Harmony, and this one has all kinds of songs that you can buy for 99 cents a piece, and you can remove parts and add parts back in, choose a part you want to sing. It's wonderful for sharpening your ear. You want to get your voice stronger. You want to learn to belt. There are programs that can show you how to do that. You can start working with a teacher. It really is about asking yourself the right question. And I want to challenge you, and this is really, really hard, especially right now. But the input, what you allow in, is really going to drive your experience, and it's going to drive your thoughts. And if we say to ourselves, what do I want? And we start trying to be positive, and then the next thing, that little thing in our pocket grabs our attention, and we're on social media, and we're just watching people complain and people argue, and it will just pull you right out. You really have to go on a disciplined fast from bad news and from negative input. I just saw recently that Simon Cowell has not had a cell phone in years. And I guess he woke up one morning and there were 50 messages on his phone, and he realized, not only do I have to answer these 50 messages, but they will all have more than one response back. And so it exponentially just keeps him tied to this phone, and he just got rid of it. And he said he's much happier and much more productive. And putting that phone away is an incredibly powerful thing to do. Limiting yourself on social media is an incredibly powerful thing to do. All social media is just a constant reminder. Well, it's not all it is, but a good portion of it is a constant reminder of the divisions and the strife that we have amongst us. And it's very hard to get a positive mindset when you are fuming about somebody's opinion, and this is something I really refrain from doing. And believe me, I've been tempted. The posts that I haven't posted, my gosh, I think there's more of those than actual posts I have posted. But I refrain from divisive posts, mainly because I just don't want to deal with the emotional frustration when people inevitably start pushing back, which they will. People are just really hair trigger right now. And that energy is just something we really have to be careful about getting involved in. So here's what I want you to do is I want you to reframe your singing goals. Change it from what you don't want. Oh, I don't want to strain anymore. I don't want to crack anymore. And change it to, I want a smooth voice. I want to sing higher. I want to be able to hold powerful sustains. I want to sing Open Arms by Journey. Whatever it is, start framing things in the positive and start taking those steps immediately and start feeding yourself with positive input. And don't allow yourself to start complaining. Listen, it's the easiest thing in the world. And when we get together, although we can't get together as much, but certainly on social media, speaking with someone on the phone, complaining instantly creates camaraderie because we all have complaints. There's always something or someone that's annoying us. It's very, very easy to complain, but then that steers the mind in the direction we don't want. And where we take our thoughts is where we take our actions, and that's where we take our future. And this is really simplistic because it is simple. If you look at really successful people and they overcome hardships that are incredible, but they all do it with a positive attitude. They all do it with reframing. They all look at what it is that they want. And they don't look at all the reasons why they can't do it. Anything you want to do, there's a reason why you can't. But they look at what it is they want and how to do it. And they ignore the rest. And as things start to reopen, slowly, I think it's time to reopen our possibilities and reopen our futures and start to allow a little more sunshine in and start to go for what it is that you do want. And you direct your mind, that will direct your thoughts, that will direct your actions, and that's going to direct your future. You can be so much better 90 days from now. So much better by just getting positive and focusing on what you want. Hey, if you want to know more about me, please visit my website, johnhenny.com. Be sure to sign up for my email list. My newest book is at the editor right now. I'm expecting it back shortly, and I'll incorporate his suggestions, and then I'm going to be looking for test readers, and that only goes out to my email list. So if you want to be amongst the first to read my next book, you need to be on my email list. And also be sure to sign up for my vocal warm-ups course. It shows you how to warm up with a straw, which is all the rage. It's right there on the front page. And until next time, to better singing. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.